This is a TriCast. Oh, let's get into it. EDG and IG, game one of this best of three. It's going to be Katarina instantly banned off the table along with Rengar and LeBlanc. I was going to bring up the fact of, are we going to see anything interesting from Rookie today? Because we just saw Doinby bring both Akali and Vladimir to the table, but I feel like Rookie was the OG innovator in the mid lane.
I'm actually going to give that one to Gavi, but Rookie definitely stands in that circle of friends there. I'm glad to see him get the respect from the Katarina ban. It could also prelude that Scout really wants to prioritize that Syndra. He's seen a lot of success on that champion, and that's primarily the pickup that Rookie likes to take Katarina into. The itemization between the Gunblade and the Abyssal Scepter give him a lot of innate tankiness across from Syndra's burst.
Yeah. Regardless of that, there is no Cat in this game. She is gone, along with Camille and Jace. Meanwhile, first pick of Graves, so making sure Fire Lolly has that pick in the jungle, while Duke is locking in Rumble for jungle, top, or mid.
I mean, the Graves is standard. It's probably the best jungler. Kha'Zix is the expectation, you would say, from IG when you look at their jungle role. Though the Malzahar is locked in, I'd actually say Kid might look towards an Elise. The Malzahar, we already mentioned, Megan's a Mal's main, but Rumble, that's kind of curious to first pick, not knowing who you're against. And Rumble's actually safe enough right now that it just doesn't matter.
And here's the thing, because you see the Malzahar, instantaneously we know the Lulu's going to come through, and like you said, that could also force Kid to go further towards that Elise, simply because you don't want to pick a hard assassin or go towards more of that pop Kha'Zix build with the Q evolve if you're against a Lulu, because she's just going to deny you all of that assassination potential.
And that's going to be followed by Syndra in the mid lane as well from Scout. So we'll be facing down Rookie as well, who, Rookie, honestly, of all the mid laners, I think would have a plethora of answers towards that Syndra, even with Cat being off the field.
I mean, he's still got answers like Orianna and Echo. We'll see if he picks it up in this rotation. I would expect that it would be a jungle pickup. There you go. So not deterred by the Lulu.
Still going to be the Kha'Zix in the jungle for Kid. IG now look towards their next phase of bans. They are looking towards the bottom lane for the ADC and the top lane as well towards Mouse. And Duke still has the luxury of flexing this Rumble.
I think whilst they are banning away some top laners, they could even look towards the AD carry position and try and pinch Zed out a little bit further and then pick something for themselves. But they haven't opted down that route, and EDG are very much aware of what Rookie can play.
Especially picks that work really well into Syndra. Again, denying the Katarina kind of preluded that Syndra would come out in first rotation. Now they take away the Echo, a champion who can reset all of the burst potential and big cooldowns that Syndra's able to throw down at you.
Vladimir still works, though.
Ori, Vlad, you'd think would probably be the next. Rise is also a potential.
Courage of the Colossus, hell yeah.
Possible to see that so far. We've only seen Doinby pick up the Vladimir, but Rookie is definitely a player who could bring it to the table. It's Gragas actually banned away from Mouse in the top lane there, so it signals that it could be a Rumble in the top lane, as Gragas does have the natural advantage with the body slam into Flame Spitter interaction, while EDG waiting on their final ban.
With our top lane still to be picked for Mouse as well, I wouldn't be surprised if it is a Shen. It's kind of what IG have bottlenecked them towards. Maokai would just outright lose lane more so now.
Yeah, nothing you can do. Can't really farm from range anymore. Sapling nerfs. Today has the final ban towards Rookie. We've seen that from him before as well. We know he can play it. And now IG. You mentioned Margin Megan, but what will they actually have in terms of priority for the ADC?
So a question for me becomes, is it about denial or is it about comfort? We saw the Ashe hover, we saw the Azrael hover. In the end, going for more of that comfort pick, we talked about Jhin being a big pick between both of these AD carries. Works really well with Malzahar in his lane. So no surprises there. And because the Azrael isn't taken away from Zet, Zet now gets to grab it himself.
Yeah. Do you like to see some Zet Ezreal? Looking towards the final pick from EDG, and it will have to be that top lane.
Oh man, don't do it. Either go Shen. You know what? Go Aurelia. Just go Aurelia.
It's true.
I think his Aurelia is still undefeated domestically.
Why does
Puts
he do
it out.
this?
There you go. You get a free win. Nope. It's going to be Maokai.
So Maokai, okay, he got a little bit weaker in laning phase, and it's not a substantial. I'm not going to say it's like it didn't phase him out of meta. Like he's still able to be picked, but he's against a Rumble who is a champion that doesn't draw minion aggro by damaging you, and because your wave clear is now a little bit more lackluster, you just actually lose more than you were. if you want to get the same amount of minions that you were.
And really what that means is Invictus Gaming have a definitive strong side of the map and the top side between the Rumble and Maokai matchup. So look to Kid to exploit that, especially now that Rookie has a power pick like Zed behind him. If they can abuse Duke's pushing potential and have Mouse locked down and get in and upset Fire Lily, that's when things can get very volatile and snowbally for IG.
We have these 4 compositions now, meaning that Rumble will go into the top lane while Zed is locked in there along with that Malzahar and Jin in the bottom lane. So we have a very fragile composition from IG.
Reasonably fragile, yeah. They're so mobile, and I guess it's going to revolve actually quite heavily around the bottom lane and objectives primarily. So if they can get the Rumble down and about when the Drake is the thing they want to look towards, it's a Jin Malzahar, they'll generate the picks, and then it doesn't actually matter if you have a tank or not because you've got that first pick. So that's the important part here for Invictus Gaming against EDG's comp, which is a lot of damage.
Yeah, EDG do have that Lulu in there to kind of supplement the rest of the lineup, but they also have the Syndra for the mid lane to blow people up. Maokai is going to have a rough laning phase, but if he can get out of it, he's still Maokai. He's still going to be a massive tank.
The thing about EDG's composition is they're a bit bottlenecked into that 5v5, and so yes, Invictus Gaming are strong around those dragon fights because they have the like of Rumble, but EDG are also just as strong there, especially mid-game when the likes of low econ Maokai and Ezreal are really going to start popping off. Syndra, as well as her passive, will pop off a little bit early and still have that ridiculous burst damage late game. Whereas IG, they can play a bit fast and loose with like a 1-3-1 or a 1-4 because they have the Zed.
Now get into those skirmishes, get some kills, get the game kind of rolling for them. And maybe we see the right type of IG turn up today, and we could see a very strong performance. But we so often see very different compositions from IG. We never see the same kind of thing from them.
And it's like you said, what iteration of IG are we going to get today? Because last week we saw probably the best and worst versions of them simultaneously happening in series. They looked super crisp and clean with definitive macro calls, and then just fell apart at the seams only days later.
Hopefully don't we see that one this game as we get into IG versus EDG. It's our match of the week, and we're expecting big things from both teams as it is a battle over second place.
Yeah, this is super important, mostly for Invictus Gaming and for EDG's management, as it appears for Oscar, and they definitely both want to win against each other. We said it's match of the week for a reason, and because if nothing else, it will be smart League of Legends from certain players on this map.
Smart, and it's about where will it be smart. Again, EDG, they're still the premier organization in the LPL. They were taken down by RNG, no longer just the first place team in the LPL, but we always give them the benefit of the doubt. They're always going to be the favorites heading into series. Unfortunately, though, it feels like a team that was normally never contested for their macro decision-making has suddenly fallen down with kind of this new training ground of shot callers. They don't have Clear Love. Who's taking up his mantle? Is it Mako who's being a louder voice in the team? Is it Fire Loli that's trying to compensate? Whoever it is, they've yet to kind of really figure things out. But this cute level 1 is actually something that they've done twice now. It bit them in the ass the first time they did it. We saw that disastrous level 1 first blood against RNG that pretty much lost in the game, but looks a bit cleaner this time around.
It's true. It's also not just a 2-man invade of just trying to take away the red buff or whatever they were trying to do with their bottom lane. It's Firelight taking away this original camp, and we'll go on to this one. It has been preemptively warded, though, by IG, so they will have this information, meaning the Kid will go onto the opposite side and take away that red. Yeah,
one cool detail as well is that they've both warded each other in every aspect of this invade. So they know they're stealing his red, but they know their red's about to be stolen. EDG have actually made an adaptation immediately, though.
Well, Firelight walks to the mid lane, lots of damage, and ticks on to level 3.
And ultimately what's happened is the map has been cut vertically. Mako now catching Kid, though.
Yeah, there is no escape. There's no blast cone anymore. Zed, he's on top of him. The auto attacks, but the exhaust as well. Final auto attack finishes Kid off for first blood. Megan now backing away. Mako will follow after. Yes, a preemptively flashes. Firelight's coming in. Comes down with the smoke screen, looking for end of the line as well. Megan should be able to make it out with the heal.
I mean, it's super obvious to look at this and say, that's amazing. Ezreal has double buffs in lane, like EDG just won so much. But what's cool to me is why they chose to split the map vertically. Again, it was EDG with the level 1 invade, kind of saying, we're going to trade jungle buffs right now, or jungle sides, and it's because of this. Again, Duke is going to hard win top lane through a push. Cut the map vertically so you don't get to abuse that strong side of the map with the Rumble.
completely annihilated there in the top lane and the bottom lane. Mako just steps too close to the fire. And will have to back away behind Zet right now, who is double buffed.
We're at a really interesting dynamic though for IG. They have to try and damage control pretty much immediately. Kid did get the buff and the experience, so whilst that does go over to Zet, he still is in a position where he can go back to his jungle and be okay. It just means that he is significantly further behind, especially for Marge, who is behind Zet. So we highlighted mid, we highlighted top lane, we said they're the stars of the team, but if you get Zet going, or if you got Marge going, they can definitely still do work. And that really could be one of the determining factors that has already broken out for EDG.
So see if he can carry it forwards now, because we do have the source material. We have seen Zet carry games previously. Kid now walking into the enemy jungle to try and make something happen, but he's immediately collapsed on, as there was a ward down there already by EDG.
But like actually the bottom lane collapsing. That's like 10 seconds of extra notice that Kid cannot do anything whilst his jungle's being taken on the other side.
And he has nowhere to be, exactly. The one strong side of his map with that Rumble denied by the level 1, and now he can't return to safety because Graves is just lighting it up with all of this deep vision. Kid is in so much trouble right now.
Kid finally gets this grunt, but that's the only camp he's gotten in the last like 2 minutes, while Firelolly has just been perma-farming. He's onto these Raptors once more. We'll take this one away. He is significantly ahead of Kid, both in farm and experience, more importantly for the junglers. And Kid will try again. This time looking towards the mid lane.
2v2.
He's in, actually.
Rookie will jump forwards with the Living Shadow. He's knocked back. Firelolly is here for the counter gank. Kid is walking against the wall. Takes a lot of damage from end of the line and will force the flash out of him.
So one interesting thing we didn't highlight was how early that gank was from Firelolly and why it happened. The reason it happened is because Rookie has Cleanse. He's actually got Cleanse to survive the laning phase. There's nobody else on that team you'd actually want to cleanse yourself out of besides an Exhaust from the damage, and Scat always run Exhaust. So it's got a double usage there. The fact that he has the Cleanse right now, though, means there's no direct kill threat onto the opponent. So that 2v2 will happen, and nothing directly translates from this besides Kid maybe getting back in the game if it was a successful kill. But Firelolly, I mean, process of elimination, where's Kid going to be? If he's not in my jungle, which he can't be, we have wards, he's either near mid or he's in his own jungle that's all dead and he's just finding it out the hard way. So takes the safe option.
And again, it's from bad to worse now. Like, Kid can't be in his own jungle. It's lit up. He'll maybe get scraps. He's on his Krugs right now. He wasn't able to get any sort of snowball or any sort of gank into the mid lane. Maybe he looks top lane now, but you would have to assume, Mouse would have to assume that this is the only answer for him. Maokai's the only lane that's extended forward.
And Duke is still continuing to punish top lane. He's got the Haunting guys right now as well. No boots, just the Haunting guys. This is going to be punishing Mouse even harder up there. And Mouse doesn't really have anything to fire back other than maybe Firelolly coming up there with a level 6 gank. We're 6 minutes in now. We're looking towards second buff very shortly. And Firelolly is pinging on towards the top side, so he may take Grump and may look towards top.
I would say he goes from Grump and places further vision towards the red buff that's going to spawn again for Kid. If he can find a way to get Mouse in a confident position, or at least comfortable position, as well as Scout who can continue to wave clear, then he can look towards the red. But Rookie exists as a Zed that is level 6. And having the Cleanse and knowing that Scout has no exhaust actually makes his job a lot easier at that level 6 point, and he will kill the Syndra.
And he's going to try and do so right now. Has the level 6, but Firelolly was lying in wait, meaning Rookie will jump back
Here
and
comes
not
Kid.
get the final bit of damage. Kid coming back into the mid lane. Firelolly, he's got pretty much nowhere to run, and Taste Their Fear plus the Unseen Threat will be enough to finish him off.
Just disaster right there. Firelolly overstays. It was the good thing to kind of zone off Rookie, but he didn't need to overextend in the lane, and Kid finally makes the successful gank. He's just been hovering around Rookie, looking for table scraps, and finally gets some.
He's always looking, though, around where that Rookie lane is going to be. The fact that he got the Cleanse, you would say, very much expected. So Firelolly being there at the right time was a good decision. But ultimately, the good decision was that he goes back to base, or that he tries again and doesn't actually get the gank.
And ultimately, this was supposed to be EDG's play. They wanted to contest Kid's red buff. They wanted to be able to rotate Scout to contest with the stronger Graves. But because things go wrong in the mid lane, now shoes on the other foot. Kid was suffering early game. He's now back on track.
Perseverance in the end. Nets a kill, goes back to base, picks up Tracker's Knife, and goes into Boots as well. So he is in a much better position now, has the damage, and is able to get towards level 6 for that first evolution. We'll see if he goes towards Q or W and start setting up people like Rookie, like Duke, using long range from Marge as well, and try and leverage that.
I would assume that Kid would be a W Kha'Zix, just because of his, you know, responsibility on the team.
At the moment, I'm going to say 95% of Kha'Zix is evolving the W first, just because of what it actually provides. Like, a slow that large that can hit up to 3 people is actually very substantial, especially when you're looking for objective fights.
It's also big if Duke ever gets ahead in his lane and can snowball, and they can abuse lane assignments of both the Rumble and the Zed inside lanes, and then have the Kha'Zix there. It's not a Sivir to keep your middle lane safe, but Kha'Zix can do the job for them.
Well, we're opening up the curtain call on the bottom lane, and Megan, he's underneath it, along with Kid, Mako, and Zed, both slowed down by this assault. This shot goes wide, and Kid comes in. He's taking a lot of damage. He'll jump in after. He does have the heal on top of him, plus the flash. Zed goes down. Mako trading as well, but he doesn't have the damage to kill Marge. But Megan, he's getting killed by these caster creeps. Last Glillant isn't enough to finish him off.
Now, Kid does tick over to 6. Unfortunately for Marge, he was in a critter form, so couldn't get the last crit off that would have killed Mako. Mako survives and actually makes all 3 of them run away. So now some free time actually achieved by Fire Lolly, because instead of Kid going from red to red, he goes from red to a gank bottom.
The scary thing, though, is that Zet and Mako did burn all of their summoners, and Megan is still only level 5, about to take over to level 6. So you would think that that would be a huge red flag that we don't have any in our sums. Malzahar's about to have a lockdown ultimate. Just rinse, wash, and repeat that gank bottom, but Fire Lolly should be there this time.
What I would actually do, though, is I'd bring Rookie down with me, so he still has control of this middle lane. He just picked up the blue buff, and with the wave he's about to clear, I'd say this is the perfect timing, right? Either you get an Ocean Drake, because you've already cleared mid lane, going
or you
scout
get
is
the
at
tower.
blue, or you go straight down to bottom. You 4-man it, you pressure, and you get that first turret blood.
100% agree.
Kid now with Megan and Rookie are just getting vision around this area, get this scrying.
See, this is good for
Lance.
Mako, to be fair, though. Like, he has no reason to be mid, but he's very much aware that Rookie wants to disappear, that they might want to go for a Drake with the Kha'Zix. And so he places vision deep enough that will actually find the Zed and pushes him back to lane. So delay is their strat.
So nothing really happens in the end. IG is still staying around the area there. There was a consideration of a recall from Kid, but another ward goes down, and IG have control over the area. I'm looking towards Scout and Rookie, in fact, in the mid lane, because Rookie is rapidly approaching kill threat range.
I mean, he's kill threat lane range already. I mean, Zed is so volatile early game. He can pretty much destroy any one of those members, even the tanky Maokai who's itemized into the MR. So it's so critical to make sure that Rookie is stayed locked down in vision, because if they ever lose track of him, you have to bring at least Mako just to survive checking areas.
Yeah, Kid should be able to take this one away. It is
might lose to
Ocean Dragon. Yeah, I mean, it's not a Mountain Dragon. It's quite hard to take. He's going to need some assistance from somebody. I mean, at the very least, Fire Lolly will just come over, collateral damage, and it will be a kill. Smite comes down for the extra health. Rookie's going to have to tank it. But that was an early Smite, so if there was any contest from Fire Lolly, it could have potentially been a steal.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so critical and important, the vision control that Invictus Gaming had before going for that play. And we never really get to compliment a lot of LPL teams on their vision control, so do want to throw the shout out to IG there. Definitely saved Kid's life.
And it's having a Malzahar that lets you have that vision in the first place, though. You don't want to face check it, especially when there's a Zed, because if you get locked down, Malzahar's ulted you and the Zed's able to do that free damage. It pops far too much damage.
Yeah, frustrating. I didn't even think Megan put down Voidlings. I think he just left it as an E and was just like, well, that's all you're getting. I need the Voidlings for lane, mate. See you later. I may have just helped him out so he could have tanked a little bit more, but Kid, he's into the jungle once again. And, well,
I'm proud of Kid.
Yeah. Kid also has been maxing Q, so yeah, well, Kid's all grown up. Maybe he's going to get yelled at by Duke, who knows. But Duke is pushing up the top lane, gets probably both electro harpoons onto Mouse right here. He'll turn around, nice bit of damage, but it's going to be Equalizer clearing out the wave here as he pushes in and probably looks to back.
Yeah, so one thing actually about Duke while we were highlighting him is his item build is quite curious. I like it. He went immediately for a Haunting, guys, and the reason that this is a cool thing is because if Kid ever ganks, he's going to be against the Spectre's cow, Maokai. Like, Maokai has to rush magic resistance against that champion, and if he doesn't rush magic resistance, goes for the Balmy Cinder, the Haunting guys kills him. So he now has to, like, he literally has no choice. He's bottlenecked into an item build that he needs to get, and then followed by the Merc Treads. So you go Haunting guys instead of Sorcerer's Shoes because he wanted to get Merc Treads.
And then he steps outside into the big world of Summoner's Rift, and it's just like, well, there's 3 AD threats. I'm going back top lane. I really want to fight Duke in this game. I want out. Rookie Nice little combo there from Scout.
Nice
Ghost
combo,
Blade was...
Scout. Does it come in men's?
Oh my god, Rookie just destroyed him.
Zed is just disgusting right now. Has his Ghost Blade. We talk about with lethality, even though this is 7.4 and Ghost Blade has been just slightly down-tuned, it's still a ridiculous item and ridiculous on Zed. He gets a power spike at every single completed item.
You know what balances Zed? I don't know why we haven't. Like, why does the E slow? Because if you use your Shadow, use your E, they're slowed, and it's just like, you're guaranteed to hit at least one of the Qs.
Mate, I am right there with you. I would like to gut every single Assassin champion as an AD carry main. I am done with all of them.
Well, don't worry, because exhaust nerfs are on the way. So have fun with that one on 7.5, but we're still on 7.4 with Zed. It's still ridiculous. Rookie's gonna jump in, he pops the ultimate.
Oh,
good. All the way to return for Scout.
God.
He gets the 1v1 outplay.
Oh my god, they're fighting bottom balls.
Bot lane, Megan's gonna release the ultimate. March uses the last crit shot. It's gonna be a dancer grenade. The ultimate attack for Megan's not enough. Mako backing away. Shield on top of him. Called the void, and the W misses as well. Kitty's in stealth. He appears, but so does Fire Lolly. Teleport from both teams. Mouse is coming in. He wants to get on top of someone, but Mako and Zed, they jump away. Kid's under attack. He's surely gonna go down, and Fire Lolly will get the kill credit.
But there's nothing for EDG to take here unless they want to hang around and try to push the tower. But Duke already has his ultimate. I feel like so much was thrown, including the kitchen sink, and ultimately, it just buys time for EDG mid, but nothing should happen bottom. There's no dragon, there's no tower threat.
Okay, rewind. Scout 1v1 Rookie.
It was sick.
And he outplayed the crap out of him. That was fantastic.
Predicted the scatter of the week for where the shadow was for,
That was just straight up sick.
But also
Scout.
didn't use his stun. So Rookie didn't use his ultimate expecting the stun and was then going to dodge it. So this is the first thing you note here. Goes to dodge this, Duke's away. He's like, where was it? Now goes. And immediately, because Zed ults, Syndra saves the stun. Fantastic work from Scout. Just knowing how Zed... Look, Scout's a Zed main. I'm not surprised he had that nailed, but that was still incredible.
It was still awesome to see. Even flashes out of the last bit of damage from Shadow Slash. And it was just perfect, honestly. So well played from Scout, because I thought he was just dead to rights. The Rookie just jumps on top of him. He's got like 25% health left, but he knew. He got him. So that'll be that one kill in the mid lane, and that'll be a Zhonya's Hourglass completed off the back of that play.
And suddenly that just forces Rookie out to these side lanes to start looking other options. Like, not only is his pride wounded because he lost the 1v1, but he's also like, he's got Hourglass, guys. I can't kill him anymore. I need to, you know, go bottom. And he can go bottom because Marge and Megan not only have the tools so they can start mowing down people, but also the fact that they're winning. Mako, long time ago, EDG, they had the #1 bottom lane in the LPL. No one could beat Deft and Mako. Now with Zed, Marge and Megan are just running all over them.
Yeah, the big difference here, though, is like, whilst Rookie does almost need to go to those sidelines if he wants to find kills, he can still use Kid. Kid can still help him find kills because the initial damage has to be Zhonya's. Rookie, the only reason he can't find them is because of the reliance of damage over time that can be blocked by a Zhonya down.
Ultimate used by Scout, but it's the ultimate in return. Deathmark will be blocking it. Outscattered a weak lands as well. Follows after the auto attack. Ultimate! Set in for the bottom lane! The 1-2 punch! The kill in the mid lane to EDG.
It all compounds at once. That was great.
The Wombo combo. Holy shit.
Oh my god, EDG, they were just on top of that play. They knew exactly where he was gonna be. That was just unreal.
Look at Rookie's
Rookie.
face. There's nothing. You're just like, this is cool.
I mean, they got me. I mean, like, I don't think you can even be mad after a play. I just simply got outplayed.
But here's the counter, though. So poor little Zet left alone at the tower. Can he get away in time?
Oh, well, Marge is closing in from one side, and Megan just right-clicked him, so... Nope, he's not getting away. Megan comes in there along with Kid, and that's a kill. Actually over to Megan as well.
Let's be frank, not as impressive as, you know, all of these ultimates colliding perfectly across map, but just as effective because it does take down that tower in favor of IG.
But they got the tower. So yes, it was just as effective, wasn't as flashy, but well played to IG. They may be able to convert this now to the second dragon.
Doesn't need to be flashy if it works. They've already got an Ocean Drake. They can get a second one for their troubles, but
once
Scout.
again, another 1v1, but everyone is joining in for the fun this time around. Scout jumps on top
Oh
of,
my
but
God.
there's Mako there, and he'll detonate Kid. Rookie needs to jump away, get out of this mid lane. Duke with the re-engage, fantastic equalizer. Scout locked in place, the W doesn't land, but it doesn't matter. The Rookie gets one, he gets two. Oh, and he was looking for the third, but he'll have to jump out, the tower was there.
And finally, Duke moseys down from the top lane, saves Invictus Gaming from the claws of defeat, and gets Rookie snowballed back into this game. They could slide into the Dragon. Malzahar still relatively healthy, able to tank that up with the Voidlings, although it is Ocean, so AoE spread damage. But they decide just to play it cool, reset the map, pick up their pocket gold, and look for more.
And yes, it's a second Ocean Drake, but it's not valuable enough to risk the game on. Mouse still has his teleport if he comes down as a full health member against the Rumble that doesn't have the ultimate, Zed without the ultimate and health. Like Malzahar not having his still from that gank in the bottom lane, it's just too risky to even consider actually going for. But these kills transition IG still into a point where they are well and truly matching what EDG have to offer. Everything that EDG throw at them is reactionary, basically, because IG are keeping up.
Yeah, and now we can see that directly in the lane assignments. The fact that Marge and Megan have been picked up. They've now got the duo in the mid lane. You see Rookie. I'm curious, though, if Rookie's going to continue to look for these 1v1 plays and try to get the outplay on Scout, or if he's just going to wave the white flag and be like, this is fine, you've bested me twice, I will not do it again.
I mean, maybe, but Rookie just went deep onto 3 people and killed 2, so I think he's still got the confidence there that he can make a play happen, especially if Zhonya's is down.
He's a Katarina player. He knows what it means to be 0-6 and get a pentakill.
And he's 2-2, so I think he's probably fine. Skill shots go wide from Scout, and we're back into the 1v1 in the bottom lane. So there's plenty of opportunities to see this unfurl.
Is this the modern day Rookie God V?
Oh god, it is.
Yeah, the fall from grace for God V, but Scout's turned up. So maybe that is the case. Fire Lolly, he's pinned in place.
This isn't going to achieve a single thing.
4 miss, yep.
Like, the reason that you would use a Jhin ultimate there is with the threat of a Malzahar to follow up the engage to lock him down, but it's zoning for the Drake. They'll still get there, however.
They will. The Dragon is dropping low. It's at 2,000 HP,
Fire
but it's within smite range. Secured by Kid once again. Fire Lolly a little too far forward, but once again, Megan's there with the Nether Grasp. Will the pop be enough coming in from Zed? Not quite, but the ultimate from Duke. Oh, shreds everyone from EDG, but Mouse is going in anyway. Scout doesn't really have the mana. Flash out from Kid, not enough damage. He's locked down. Scout, he's now completely out of mana. There's nothing left in the tank, but finally still finds the kill. 2 kills over to EDG in exchange for 1. But again, Scout's looking for more. He has the blue buff, but Mouse is still following after. I think that should be the end of it, but that was a 2-for-1 advantage EDG.
I'm going to say great job for Mako for the beginning part of the fight. The fact that Fire Lily ate so many key ultimates and survived because he got an amazing Lulu timed ult as well as all of the shields and defense. But honestly, I'm actually shocked how EDG won that fight, especially when Mao shows up, flashes in. It looked like the rest of EDG were zoned out, but they somehow found the damage.
They managed to skirt around the edges of a team fight with no health to their name between basically Zet and Mako and basically Philo, I think, as well, because he starts off losing all of his health. The thing is, Syndra has no ulti. Kid is stuck inside the pit with Marge because Scout has done enough work to zone them, and the Rumble ulti is basically pushed. Like, watch these 3 members. They're just poking. That's all they can do. Keep Mouse alive, keep Scout happy, use his heal just to survive. It is actually just Mouse. Like, the only reason that they managed to win this is Mouse is so big that Rookie gets desperate for kills.
Maybe looking towards the top 1v1, but Scout will back away here as Duke was waiting in the bush.
The scary thing is Mouse isn't even that big. Like, the CS difference between Duke and Mouse is quite substantial.
It's just the fact he was Maokai in that situation.
Just Maokai, exactly.
Low econ Maokai shows up with like 2 incompleted items and suddenly is unkillable.
It was shocking, honestly, the fact that 3 members, the big damage dealers, were essentially out of that fight, and still Mouse was able to pull that off. As we said at the start, Mouse, he's a good player.
He's a good player domestically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't have that run at Worlds, but it's okay, Mouse. We will forget. We will remember this.
We will, yeah, we will forget, we'll remember this, and we will forgive, because there are plenty more chances. Maybe we'll see him get to compete internationally once more. And change the name of Mouse. I'm a different Mouse. You may have remembered Mouse from
Upgrades
2016. Yeah, maybe. We have so many name changes in the LPL, that could be a possibility.
I don't know if a rat's an upgrade to a mouse.
What's an upgrade to a mouse, then?
Not a rat.
Well, you come back to me with an answer.
A mouse, like, it's quite simply.
A guinea pig? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Let's see. Marge is in the mid lane. He's pushing in. And he does have his ultimate if they want to try and break this mid lane tower. They've lost their own. And they have these 2 Ocean Dragons. So you're expecting some type of play from IG at some point in the near future.
But EDG are completely controlling this area of the map where the Baron is. You can see on your mini-map all of the control wards. the fact that they've got the scuttle. So Syndra being able to play around this area does indicate where they want to at least put a lot of their focus. Also Maokai being bottom, which is where Duke's going to walk towards.
But we've never had problems with EDG when they're playing in their lane phase. Even with this new roster, you know, losing talent like Pawn and Def, Scout has stepped up, Zet is serviceable. The problem is that when we get them out of the lane phase and they need to start making decisions about, you know, setting up over this Baron, making good picks, transitioning those picks into key objectives, this is when things have been falling apart and why they are no longer the best team in the LPL.
The plague of EDG still actually taints this side, and it's Baron obsession. They're like QG, but like 10% better at the Baron obsession. You know, when QG got the Baron, I said they were EDG. Same thing applies.
My question is it obsession or insanity?
I mean, you try
Does
enough
one
times.
lead to the other?
Yeah, maybe that is
It's
a
insanity.
possibility.
I mean, I'm totally fine with you being obsessed with an objective because it is so important to crack into high wave clear compositions. And Invictus Gaming are kind of difficult to siege into despite the fact that they don't have a traditional high wave clear composition. But my problem is that in Insanity, you do the same thing regardless of results. So if you do a bad fight, you just continue to pick that bad fight or that bad setup. And you're just like, it'll work this time. No, it never works. You just throw games.
It's actually an interesting point, though. They don't have a lot of wave clear, because firstly they have a Zed, and then Rumble will both be in side lane, so it's a 1-3-1. But the traditional 3 usually has a Sivir or a tank in there, when at the moment it's Kid with the W, Malzahar with kill threat, and Jhin who pops the ultimate straight away. So whilst they don't have, like, you know, your standard wave clear, even as a 5-man unit, it's quite risky to walk up to a Malzahar Jhin, let alone the W from the Kha'Zix slowing you down to get hit by everything.
It's like the Captain Planet of wave clear. It's like, by our powers combined, my bouncing grenade, your Q silence, and my void spikes, we will clear these waves.
Which is why the Baron is actually still quite important towards their success. If you're against a split pushing comp, you want to just brute force your way through, get the structures, Baron enables you.
But then we're kind of hitting these stalemates once again. Well, we are looking towards Dragon in around 30 seconds, and it is a mountain, so both teams would really like this to try and start cracking some towers and some objectives. IG do have advantage over the area in terms of vision.
They should actually just look for Malzahar ultimates to pick people off. I'm not sure if Megan was going to recall there with any good reason.
But that means
Always afraid of Baron. What are you doing?
that EDG needs to get together with Mouse because Mouse is the only member on their team that can safely kind of face check into these areas. Yes, they still have Lulu, so as long as Mako is not the person who eats the Malzahar ultimate. There they go. They got Mouse in front of them.
Mouse wants to W somebody, but really nice signs from Megan. Ultimate in from Duke, and that starts up the fight on the right foot for IG. They blow up Mouse. Mouse will jump to the back lines. He needs to get out of here pronto. But Kid was also receiving a lot of damage in courtesy of Scout.
The thing is, Mouse is alive, so he can actually teleport back in with full health. And now this plan from Invictus Gaming doesn't exist. They actually should sack the Mountain Drake.
They have to. All of their key ultimates are down. The only one that they have left is the Zed ultimate. And like you said, even though EDG don't have any of their ultimates other than Graves, the fact that Maokai can be their full health, Invictus Gaming's comp doesn't have a tank. They can't compete in a straight 5v5 when the line of scrimmage is drawn.
But if they have Duke, then then they can compete.
I
Duke
can't believe they're
just,
giving this up.
Man, IG are all over this
I don't
Dragon
think
right
they're
now.
giving it up.
Mouse is on the front
Why are
lines.
they recalling?
Maybe they are giving it up. Mouse is the
well.
only one who's there. He really wants that control ward.
Look, nobody had ultimates, and it is just the Mountain Drake. The Mountain Drake directly doesn't actually impact anything until they hit the Baron itself, so like it's not that bad of a Drake to sacrifice. But it's kind of a tragedy to watch them, you know, have a teleport available for Mouse, opt not into taking it.
It's like the difference of, you always want to understand what the teams are thinking. Like what Rusty's saying is correct. Like this is probably the mentality that EDG are looking at. You know, don't throw the game over Mountain Drake. Take the 80-20 versus like the 60-40 fight. My problem is that this is why EDG have been slipping. It's because they're not playing perfect League of Legends anymore, and it's little mistakes like that.
Ultimate used by Scout, but it was very early, and Rookie will respond with his own. Of course, there was another ultimate coming down from Duke. Megan's locked up, Curtain Core coming in from around the side as well. Mouse is still stopping the majority of IG from getting into the back line. And after all of that, ultimate's burnt. Pretty much every single one on everybody.
Yeah, but there's pressure on this top lane turret, so this should go down. Invictus Gaming can't exactly look for it anymore. That was a really intense 1v1 between Rookie and Scout all over again. Like the ultimate usage, trying to save certain spells for certain scenarios, dodging the stun to be able to have Edge of Night, to then use the ultimate to dodge a Syndra's combo. These small details actually amounted to a whole lot there that could have been the other way.
And it did eventually amount into the tower, which, yes, it's not the details of the cool micro interactions, but it's super important because EDG are still so obsessed with this Baron. And having that tower down will mean that they can get the creep wave that much farther forward and start investing in deeper and deeper vision to set up safer around that objective.
It means they can slow push a wave now, which is super valuable for a Baron.
Top lane now being pushed in as well from IG, so it looks like they may just return the favor. Scout cannot walk up by himself, and Fire Lolly is
They want mid though.
not there, but they do want mid. But Fire Lolly, again, is just kind of caught in limbo where he's not doing either. He's not pushing mid, he's not defending top, so IG will get away with that tower and just equalize the last trade that we saw.
The word you're looking for is out of position. And Fire Lily is just frankly out of position. EDG now, that's kind of twice where you can kind of understand why they're not going for those objectives, like why try to defend the top tower, because if you lose there, it'll immediately translate into Baron. But ultimately, if you're playing everything cleanly and right, you can. You shouldn't be giving away free towers like that, or giving away free dragons, especially when you win those fights.
On a slight tangent to that, Duke is 16. He's got his Void Staff and his
Level 3 ult.
Leandries. He's got his level 3 ultimate available. Rumble always excels at fights over objectives. It's again a scary thing for EDG to be contesting. The Maokai's good at preventing damage, disrupting and adding AoE alongside Fire Lolly, so they're not just a single target team. And AoE is actually super valuable when you're looking at fights around corridors, which is what, you know, objectives such as the Dragon and the Baron present themselves.
I just think that they don't need to fight around the objectives, but they can certainly try to hold those towers, especially with the Graves.
I just envision the way that EDG approach this is by not fighting for the Baron itself, but by pushing the middle lane or the top lane and making IG leave the Baron pit to fight them. Because then when you're in an open environment, EDG will win.
Which now means that Duke and Rookie are so important in this composition and getting control of those side waves. But that leaves Megan exposed.
He's massively exposed. Collateral damage, and all happened in a split second. He goes down. Once again, got ultimate from Duke, but he's launched on by Mouse. They find a second target in the form of Zen. They got what they came for. IG will start to back away. Duke caught up, but he's into the Zhonya's hourglass. Can he actually escape though? He had the flash on top of it, and Kid falls to Scout. Marge backing away, but he's got Mouse on top of him. The slow down onto both Rookie and Duke. Can he actually get out alive? Fire Lolly's into the base, blasts him at close range. A 4-for-1 trade to EDG.
Completely destroying Invictus Gaming there. Frankly, they're just doing it on a 1v1 basis. Individual members of EDG are tearing apart IG. And that felt far too easy.
And for all of the fumble calls around the Mountain Dragon, around the top tower, EDG make the right call there. They see that Duke and Rookie...
Then he just walks up and ults Mouse. Will be enough damage. Yes, it is coming out of the null zone. It shouldn't be any more kills, but Rookie is hungry. He's falling after, but there's constant slowdown from Scout. Should be able to keep them alive.
There's 5 seconds until the Baron does spawn, so if they keep them running away, Megan keeps them busy. Fire Lolly has to go to base, Scout has to go to base. We're watching a replay, but there may well be a Baron in the meantime.
But again, look at what Rookie and Duke are. They're trying to set up the side waves, and so it leaves the 3 members of IG exposed, and EDG make the correct call. It's a 3 versus 5. We need to engage now. They get the correct engage. They get the individual outplays when Duke and Rookie finally do get there. They overwhelm IG and take the fight.
Yeah, the beauty of this as well is that Duke's trying to just deal with Mouse, who is on top of him. When you look at the big threats when these fights come out, Equalizer was down, and Duke never used his Flame Spitter on an enemy champion that wasn't a tree.
Mouse is just getting things done in this game as well. He's going in at the right times, finishing people off, leading the charge. And IG just simply don't have any recourse right now, and you would expect these individual 1v1 outplays to be coming from a team of squishy assassins who have the ability to do so, but EDG are meeting them at every single turn.
It wasn't the cleanest start to the game, but EDG have definitely worked out the strategy and the win condition that they should be looking towards.
Their early game is so crisp, though. Like, even starting from level 1, deciding how they're going to split the map, how they're going to try to, you know, kneecap Duke so he doesn't just get this free pushing lane that Kid can exploit. But then it falls apart a little bit at mid-game, and they find it again at late game. It's just like a roller coaster for EDG and their macro calling.
The easiest way to explain that, though, is that they know what their win conditions, generally speaking, will be from champion select. By doing all of these things, it's a result of saying we need to do this for the jungle position, so that Duke doesn't get further ahead because Kid can't gank it. If we keep that going at an equal pace, we hit mid-game, and then we try and team fight. Yes, the execution could have been better, but they know what they want to do. It's about doing it better as they move on. They've got a whole split to improve.
They do, but we want to see it in the next 5 minutes, honestly. Mako, ultimate lands right on top of him. Equalizer comes down, followed by the curtain call. Mako, someone blocked that shot for Mako. All right, there we go. Finally, Mouse, thank you very much. Rookie was also forced out of the fight from the unleashed power.
They have 2 oceans, and he may well be okay.
We have to hope so. Duke sidesteps the true shot barrage, but it's just skill shots and saplings firing everywhere. The Dragon's up. Both teams want and EDG are in a position where they could maybe contest it.
Oh.
Invictus Gaming have the better ultimates though, but Megan's out of position.
Oh, steal out from Scout apparently. Kid just gets nuked along with the Dragon. Duke coming in, the Zhonya's as well. Rocket coming in. Fire Lolly goes down, but Duke is still in the pit. He's still just murdering everyone left and right.
Oh my god.
Mouse will come in, finish someone off. IG should be able to get this kill. What is that noise from Rumble? Chinese Rumble is ridiculous. They're going to wait for Mouse to come back up before hopefully Rocky should be able to finish him off. Whoa! Mouse just won't die. There we go. Finally, the Shadow Assassin finishes them off by 3 for 5. Dragon goes over to EDG, but what absolute chaos.
This all starts as well. So Duke doesn't have the ultimate. Rookie does. Look at the AoE that Rookie has done in this fight. Taking out Zed, Flame Spitter, and Rookie gets off the 3 or 4 E's in this fight. This is all stuck inside a Drake pit. EDG's decision to steal the Drake is good, but we already said IG's team composition excels in close quarter combat where their AoE can be more effective. Yes, that's a loud Rumble, and it does take a long time to kill Mouse here. I feel like we should cut, yeah.
Big news, though, is that Mouse's GA is down. So while he is still an unkillable tree, it's been taken down just a notch. Quite significant, especially as we look towards these 5v5s around the Baron pit. And Invictus Gaming have now kind of shocked EDG. You know, we do excel in these big arena fights, so please come to the Baron area.
It's really just 50-50, but if they get a pick as well into Mako, that will make things a little more one-sided. Yeah, you cancel that TP, Mouse. You want to go in there.
Means he's in base as well, so there is a period of time where he has to walk here. IG kick off the Baron immediately. They have translated a fight at the Dragon to a pick to potentially the Baron. Now note their ultimates are still there. They want EDG to come to them. Yeah,
Duke has his. Marge will open up the curtain call. Scout getting chased down, not before he deletes Megan, but it's not a priority target. Zed jumping away. Kid has the Guardian Angel. He'll go down once. Can he take him out once more? Fire Lolly. He's blasting the crap for some reason, but he'll finally turn it on to Kid. Kid goes down. Rocky turns around and blows at one target. And Mouse, he's the only one left standing. Duke goes into the Zhonya's Hourglass, and that's a 4. That's a 4 for 2.
Mouse is a one-man army, but he's got no one else behind him. It doesn't matter how well Scout or Zet are positioning, because Rookie is just leaping into those backlines and just annihilating them.
I was going to say don't get excited for Invictus Gaming against EDG, but I can't help but be excited for IG right now because they're actually doing it. Their team composition is excelling at forcing fights at objectives, which is something that EDG need. They've drafted themselves into a very strong position in this game.
And look at how well coordinated they are with their ultimates. Again, that's kind of Duke and Marge that are synergizing really well there. I mean, it's super easy to be like, go, 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 go. But like Duke is so tempered and so patient in these 5v5s. You would expect that the new Korean kid to the team would either be overextending or not providing enough. It's like the right amount of follow-up at the correct times. And this is why we've been so impressed with him.
Even like Rookie deciding that he wants to go for the honey fruit in the middle of a team fight, the awareness, he accidentally misses the redemption because he has to go back to himself, so he still gets the health back and then just destroys them. Rookie is showing up pretty big on this Zed, 9 and 3.
Yeah, he's been soaking up kills fight after fight, and it's gotten to the point where he may have just reached critical mass of Zed. 17-16, it's been close on kills and close in gold as well. Literally nothing separating it. IG have the slight advantage when it comes to Dragons, but it's really anyone's game when it comes into these team fights.
But I feel like this game actually comes down to, like, despite the fact that all 10 players are in the same area, does Scout kill Rookie or does Rookie kill everyone else? Like, it is only on Scout and possibly even maybe Mouse for a second to lock down Rookie just to blast this Zed. Because as long as he's alive, EDG's backline are terrified.
Well, Mako also needs to use the polymorph on top of the Zed when he gets the ultimate off. He has cleanse, but we need to see if Rookie's able to cleanse the right spells, or if there are so many spells thrown at him that the cleanse is actually irrelevant. It's a team fighting decision. It's also a really strong, I'm not going to get ganked summoner spell, but he's at the point where he has enough items, doesn't need an ignite. Now the cleanse is done.
I can appreciate a game where the decision-making needs to be within team fights, and you have to get into a team fight to make that decision-making. And we have seen so many fights this game that really just goes one way or another, decided off of those decisions.
And like, as an example, Rookie needs to ult the Syndra or Zet. Zet shouldn't die because Lulu is protecting him, so he does have to ult Scout. If he does, he acknowledges that his own use is going to come out. So he can't use everything on attempting to kill Scout, he just needs to get the bare necessities off. As a Rumble has ulted them, Pulse.
Equalizer comes down, followed by the Redemption as well. Kid looking for a way into the fight. Mouse locks him up. Duke still hovering around the outside, as is Rookie. Ultimate comes down onto him from your least power, but Megan goes down. Scout still alive. Mouse blocking up the front lines. It's one pick over to EDG as they chase down IG.
Wow, and they managed to keep Rookie zoned off from the side, and Zet goes forward.
He gets the slow down onto Duke. Is it enough actually to convert into anything? The answer is a no, but they are looking to get this inhibitor right now. No one has a good way into this fight from EDG. Kid is still on the back lines, but he has to leap away.
It's like watching a snake try to attack a turtle. EDG are doing such a phenomenal job kind of covering their flanks. You know, Scouts making sure that he's got control of the left side, Mouse is in front of them, and it just creates space for Zet to go off on the Ezreal.
However, we did see the Zonias used. There is a window of opportunity for Invictus Gaming to firstly acknowledge that EDG are going back to base and look towards the Baron one more time. This is where they can try and turn around the inhibitor being taken towards a positive for them if they get it.
Which means that EDG just need to stall out long enough that they can reset their side waves, get them pushing back against IG.
Difficult.
But this is a tiny, like you said, it's a tiny window
They
where
should start it now.
Invictus Gaming should just pull the trigger.
He has to go bottom. He has to deal with that bottom wave or a turret falls. IG are making the right call.
They're pulling the trigger. Trinket comes down. They've seen what IG are up to. EDG need to do some type of contest. Just Mouse leading a charge, but he's low on mana. Fire Lolly pushed out of the fight. Scout as well. Rocky on top of him, but he has the Guardian Angel. He goes down, but unfortunately, Syndra did not. Duke is on the front line, still a mod. Finds Fire Lolly on the back half of that. 2 more kills to IG, and Invictus Gaming are looking down to chase EDG, but they'll turn their attention back towards Baron.
And the hourglass was down, like Rusty said, for Scout. So Scout gets instantly popped in. Rookie only needs to trade as a GA. They're back on the Baron, back in control.
Megan is on the front lines, but he's taken out by Zet, but the Baron will fall to IG. Zet under attack now from Rookie, and Duke is flying forwards as well, looking for the second kill on Tomeko. It's the reset to Kid. They're chasing him down, but the Whimsy, he is a fast Yordle. He should be able to get away.
Even if he gets away, they're running towards the Elder Dragon. So best case scenario here for EDG is that he lives. Worst case scenario is they now get the kill, and they run bottom instead of the Elder Dragon, and they try and take that one out. This is a really open map at the moment, but IG are kind of bottlenecked into making, unfortunately, average decisions, but there's a reason I'm saying that the zone use isn't there for Scout, and it's because Rookie's decision-making just becomes 10 times easier after this team fight breaks out.
And in the end, it is popping him because he doesn't have the hourglass. Rookie's GA does get reset, and Zet's trying to do the best that he can, but his big front line, having that protection of the Syndra reach as well as Mouse, isn't there anymore, and the Ezreal has to back out.
And that was the Elder Dragon going over to IG in the end. They did manage to salvage as well the mid lane as the inhibitor had gone down, but they were clearing out the minion wave. And Duke
that feels good.
That's one of those things you put in one, like, most satisfying video in the world, videos that you see on YouTube. That's, you put Rumble clearing out a big minion wave at 400 CS. Duke is massive. He's almost 4 items as well. And also, just to talk about him this game, like, he has not had a bad equalizer all game, and we've seen a lot of them. It's not like he's been holding on to them for the perfect ultimate. It seems like every single time he's hitting 3, 4, 5 people. And
it's also, again, perfectly placed with his team. Like, it's so well coordinated. You would expect that Duke would hit a nice equalizer just because of the caliber of player that he is, but how it's synergizing with everything, that's, again, I'm always going to repeat it. That's why I'm so impressed. We have never seen a Korean import come in and just, from start, synergize well with the team.
I think, unfortunately, though, for Invictus Gaming, they had to deal with bottom lane, they had to deal with top lane, they also had to clear that middle lane wave of minions, so this Elder Dragon is already more than halfway gone. Thankfully for them, they had 3 Drakes, so it's a super powerful buff. There is now a window of opportunity for them to run it down mid and bottom, but they don't have top set up. They actually blundered that a little bit. However, the window opportunity is still upon them.
That mid being pushed in. You have the Baron up minion still. Looking to try and crack their shell now of the inhibitor towers. It is dropping fast. Each one of Marge's shots will chunk it by a significant amount. Waiting on this next wave as well. Rookie pushing in bot lane, split pressure.
And you have to pull multiple members because Rookie has kill pressure on so many people on that team, or he will force the Zhonya's Hourglass or something defensive like that.
And that tower's going to be cracked. Kid down into his Guardian Angel. Scout used his ultimate for that.
I mean, getting the Guardian Angel is nice, but it doesn't actually save your base right now. If Syndra has to disappear and a wave does come in, they can escort that wave. And this is their last opportunity to actually use that Elder Dragon buff because it's about to run out.
Yeah, Duke has ultimate once more. He may just lay it down so they can get pressure to take this in here.
It's run out.
Their Baron's also about to run out. This is kind of the last hurrah.
Here comes
There
the
it
Equalizer, zoning them away. Scout and Fire Lolly hit by that one. Mouse moving in front of the inhib, blocking up the damage. Megan with a big ultimate should be able to drop him. Oh, he's got the huge shield. He should be staying alive for a little bit longer, but it's Duke who's dealing the damage. He'll back away before Rocky pops down Zed. They're looking towards the inhib now. Invictus Gaming, they should be able to make this happen.
Duke's actually recalling because he wants to teleport in. They still have the Ocean Drakes with sustain as well. IG want this. EDG are not backing down.
Yeah, not giving it up whatsoever. Kid, he doesn't have the Sanctuary of the Guardian Angel at all. Scout jumps in, launches the ultimate to Rocky. It's not enough damage, and he'll pay for that with his life. Inhib's dead, so is Scout.
Just missteps. I believe it was on a Jhin trap that he flashed forward into and tried to get the assassination there, so feels bad.
Well, he also was one orb away from killing Rookie.
Yeah.
Which might have changed things because the flash forwards was a desperation play. And Scout tried his hardest to make a trade that might have actually just cost that inhibitor that they were almost defending.
To be fair, though, he was pretty much the only guy that was defending it with that blue buff.
And after all of that, IG, they pick up the Elder Dragon, they push it down mid, they take 2 towers and an inhib. And now they have a big advantage over EDG now. After all the flurry of action that we've seen over the last 15 minutes, culminated into an 8,000 gold lead, 2 towers over to EDG, but more importantly, they have this inhibitor down in the mid lane, while EDG far cry away from actually taking down the middle inhibitor themselves.
But the Elder Dragon is gone, the Baron buff is gone. So while, yes, they are suffering because their mid inhib is exposed, if you're going to lose an inhib, that's probably one of the better ones to lose, and it's kind of a sigh of relief for EG. They can reset their map, manage the super creep wave in the middle, but they have windows. They can come back into this game.
Unfortunately, though, it is a 1-3-1 team composition from Invictus Gaming as well. If you're going to pick an inhibitor, yeah, you'd pick the middle one, but now they can bring one of those 3 members even towards the lane that is going, like, they will be able to pressure those side lanes, and the 3-man unit of IG is now stronger because they've got super minions to help now.
Red buff down, get it over to Zep. IG pushing top lane as well. Rocky shoving this one in with Marge. Just a sideways being set up at the moment from IG, and just as a essentially standing gold for them. There's not really an objective that EDG want to fight over.
It's free towers until that Baron spawns in 1 minute and 10 seconds, and this will kind of be the proving point for EDG. Do they want to try to contest it while their inhib is down, or are they going to let it go and try to just survive another wave of the Baron?
I don't know if they can do that. EDG have their backs against the wall, though, and IG are looking to close it out, so that next Baron could actually be what it takes to seal the deal. Rumble can group, Zed can split. They're close enough together now that they're sticking to the confines of EDG's base. I feel like they need to contest the Baron.
And Invictus Gaming are setting up a very early trap, knowing that EDG think that they're possibly back, although the Shadow kind of gave it away, and are just waiting for someone to face check into the area to place down the defensive vision for the monster.
This is the only play that IG really need to make at this point in time. If they get a pick, great. If not, then we're in position for the Baron.
2 blue trinkets is the only thing that they have left standing, EDG. That'll be able to reveal the Baron itself. They'll have to place one as it spawns, if not a second earlier. That's one of them.
Sapping comes in, tags Duke on his way out. Mouse still sizing up the competition. Rookie is on the outside, looking for a pick. Seen up by that sapling. Two-shot barrage just to check the Baron pit. And IG still hovering around the area, but they've drawn EDG out into the open.
The thing is, Rookie needs to go top lane, and Duke can't actually leave his team because they're pressuring the inhibitor, but Rookie doesn't have a teleport. So now he shows there's a chance EDG make the decision to just push hard.
Yeah, and Invictus Gaming need to make a choice right now because, like you said, EDG are calling their buff, and they were just going to walk it up mid lane and try to trade inhib for inhib. It forces Rookie's hand, and now Mouse has to respond.
EDG all heading up to the top side. They have to respond to Rookie pushing in here, but it's also the blue buff over the Scout. Pretty important. Cleared out. And tension is building. There's both Baron has spawned, now the Dragon is on its way.
It's like a tug of war over very small areas of the map.
Well, IG making a big tug currently, and all into this bottleneck, meaning that Duke gets a great equalizer off. Double redemptions come down. Duke has to flash away back onto the Baron. He's going to fall to Fire Lolly. They need this Baron to go down and look towards damage control. They need to get out alive. Rookie, he's fleeing from the pack, drawing away EDG. Then being chased down, but no one's in range, including Mouse. And Rookie is just recalling around the corner.
So 60 seconds on Duke. 4v5, they could look towards perhaps the mid lane inhibitor if you're EDG, but they're already pushed so far back to their base. The super minions naturally push that lane in, so it'll take them 30 seconds to walk up the lane, and by that time Duke will be there. I think IG managed to get out of this with the best case scenario, and that's just one man dead for the Baron buff.
Duke doing a phenomenal job zoning off the majority of EDG, another great equalizer.
Yeah, everyone walks into that bottleneck, equalizer comes down, Duke buys the time for IG to pick up Baron once more. Edging on a 10,000 gold advantage now, 50 minutes into this game. Next objective will be Elder Dragon up in 1 minute 30. And Megan is starting to do the housework, do some spring cleaning, take away these wards in the jungle while Rookie is pushing down bot lane. Making sure all the waves are pushed in.
That Ezreal did not go for a Last Whisper item. Not even a healing reduction Last Whisper as his last item. He's gone for a Steric's Gauge that he just completed.
They found Kid in the jungle. Use Unleash Power, drops him in to Guardian Angel, but Mouse will be leading the charge. They want to kill him once more. Glint Lance didn't quite land. Duke using the TP. He cancels it in favor of going top lane.
I mean, it's really only 2 GAs. It's not really against any sort of tank.
Yeah, but the 2 Guardian Angels do amount to a bit of armor. It's also the healing reduction that you'd want to probably get away from them. Like, redemption is a thing that will always reset fights. Be able to poke people down and reduce that healing. Either that or you need Fire Lolly to get one.
It could just mean that they're just committing to really long, extended fights.
It's just so that it doesn't pop.
Yep.
Because QSS doesn't do that for you anymore. And the QSS is mandatory for the Malzahar. Like, it's kind of funny to see this item build out of necessity, because QSS doesn't get rid of a Z ult anymore. Welcome to the future.
Now, what a world we live in. Kid completely blasted in the bottom lane. No reason for him to be there, and Scout and Mouse still finds him. And that was Scout's ultimate coming all the way off cooldown, and Kid just not respecting it.
But that means that the ultimate won't be available for the Elder Dragon fight, now spawning in 5 seconds, and EDG still don't have good placement over it or control of their creep waves. Rookie's like, well, you killed my jungler, well now I'm just going to force feed all of these creeps down mid lane and pull you out of the area.
Yeah, the Kid also won't be available, so again, time to reset. IG are consistently losing a member of the team, but because they've set the waves up, it takes EDG a lot longer. Right now, pressuring this middle lane inhibitor means they will sack the Elder Dragon, but they need to see EDG doing it to confirm that he should be pushing. So now they're on the risk of losing a fight.
Equalizer comes down, splits up EDG. Megan hovering around the outside, but there is no smite, so this will be secured by Fire Lolly. Rookie responds with the mid lane inhib, and ultimately EDG knew it was going to be a trade.
This now makes it even scarier for Invictus Gaming to try to push in and even use what's left on their Baron, because they're contesting across from the 5v5 Elder Dragon.
Rookie's recall stopped there as well, but he'll just find another place in the jungle to recall with the Baron buff. Clear out the ward. Find another place to recall. How about here? I guess this will work. And Mouse will clear out the top wave as well. 52 minutes into game 1 of this best of 3. And it really could just go either way. Slight advances to IG, but now that EDG have the Elder Dragon, they're in a pretty strong position themselves to take a fight. They are trying to leverage this with a mid lane push.
And just, they're 7k gold down, and we're at a point where that money doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it speaks towards how this game has progressed. But EDG get an Elder Dragon and finally an opportunity perhaps to win the game because of where they are on the map. But it's taken them the 50 minutes.
And it's really only on the back of, like, slight individual mistakes from Invictus Gaming. Just team members getting caught out at just the worst possible time that has created this hiatus or this elongated pause for EDG to reach 53 minutes in the game.
There they go.
Pushing down the middle inhibitor. IG respecting them. EDG currently. Rookie off to the side. Needs to keep that watertight. Make sure that no one can get towards the squishy members. Kid pushed back by the collateral damage. EDG do take away the inhibitor. Duke, does he pull the trigger on Equalizer? That is a no.
They go towards bottom right now because that's where the wave is, so you'd expect to go bottom and then look at the enemy blue buff if they were going to play a perfect situation. But IG get there first. Still, however, the Elder Dragon is present, so they have to respect the situation where Mouse exists. Now, he has teleport, and that's why he's waiting in base. Whether he flanks or whether he sieges is the question.
I mean, we're late enough into this game that one poor team fight this close to anyone's base is the game.
But this is perfect for EDG. Look at the top wave as well. If they sit here for a minute, they'll have more threat onto the inhibitor turret. It's going to build up, and the teleport does make sense. Joins the team, they want the turret.
Looking down onto this is an inner tower. Still Duke with the ultimate, lays it down. Here comes Rookie as well. Curtain Call on top of that, slowing down a couple members of EDG, but the Redemption resets it.
But just slightly misplayed. If you're going to TP to the wave, why not TP to the creep that's actually tanking the tower aggro and try to siege the tower? Again, little things, EDG.
So it's about being here, if nothing else. So Mouse is able to tank this at the moment. The top wave is stacking. It's bigger than you would ever imagine for a minion wave to become. It's probably got 2 or 3 cannons. And EDG still get the turret. They still threaten the next one. That's what matters.
Looking towards the inhibitors now. Duke caught out, unleashed power, but barely gets the Zhonya's down in time. We need someone to protect him. He goes back to base limping. Mouse is fairly low, and he's getting chunked even further as Kid will follow after.
But that's 2 ultimates for the price of 1, and Duke also has teleport available, which is why EDG has to back up, respect, reset.
And the Elder Dragon's pretty much all but worn off now. So EDG back to basics. Go back to base, clear out the waves, push out, look towards Baron spawning in 30 seconds.
And the tug of war continues.
Yeah, unfortunately, this just puts us at pretty much equal. Like, both mid lane inhibitors are gone. The same amount of turrets are now taken on Summoner's Rift. We're at dead even.
This could go either way. Both teams full item capped. And Jin is now looking towards a different item. I just saw him sell something. Rebuy and booths. Try to figure out what he's ending on, but
I've changed the Ghostblade for Zhonya's. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's going to get to the stage
Wait
where teams are going to stop
Yeah.
playing Zezrots.
I'm not even kidding, hey. It's the best counter to Rengar and Syndra.
Mouse. To pop Void Shift here from Megan. And it's just initial warning shots by both teams. Baron has spawned, and the dance continues. Rocky does not want to get chunked before this fight starts. It's down to 60%. Bioloni on the front lines as well. Just this back and forth, looking for a pick, looking to burn one of these Guardian Angels.
But EDG also have control over the side wave, so they get a bit more comfort to just kind of sit here and go back and forth with Invictus Gaming because someone will need to respond to it. Luckily for IG, Duke does have teleport as well as Rookie is very limber and mobile across the map.
Well, that and Baron's the focus, and there's no Elder Dragon, so he can be the one that goes top lane to actually push the wave in and reset it, which he'll do now, and they can put their teleporter to bottom. So this does work out well enough for IG. I don't actually think EDG can utilize that in any positive way besides pushing mid and translating that to the Baron, just by forcing IG back into their base, confining them, locking them up.
Just means that they should be able to get a foot here and start setting up for a possible pick or use Fog of War to their advantage. We talk about blue trinkets. EDG have 2, but IG only have 1 because they have the
Baron's
assassin.
been started by EDG and it is dropping fast. Invictus Gaming need to respond. Great ultimate by Duke. They're locking them in the pit, but the Baron is down. IG, can they take a good fight from here on out? Kid is stuck in the pit. He'll flash over. Megan forced back. Rocky jumped on top of by Mouse. He'll take out all of his spell shields. Tree Shot Barrage comes across Marge and Kid.
No one's dead.
Captive Audience followed by Deadly Flourish onto Fire Lolly. No one goes down, and the Baron over to EDG.
And again, all of our item slots are filled up. It's so hard to have vision this late in the game. They only had one blue trinket. It's on Jhin because they have an assassin mid, and it's down. EDG just walked to the Baron and burn it.
And there's so many Guardian Angels. Summoners were back available. Kid can flash out even if he dies to a Syndra's ultimate. He had a Guardian Angel, and Scout was holding on to that one. EDG get the Baron. They get the objective, and that's what matters the most. They need to use this now.
Well, if there were going to be any two teams to take a battle over second place, it's definitely had to be these two teams, taking it down to the wire just in our first game. We still have another couple games to play after this one. We're only at the start of our series. We're 58 minutes in. We're still looking at a fairly even game where EDG once again have one of these big objectives like a Baron, like an Elder Dragon, but still IG's fighting power
sold his boots,
still
got a
here.
Duskblade.
Yeah, now he's on 6 items of all pure damage, but he knows that EDG are going to be running to him. Trying to deal damage more than anything. Captive Audience is taken away. We're trying to crack the bot tower now from EDG, an objective they haven't managed to get so far. Zet caught out very slightly. Mouse is going to be blocking for him. Ultimate used by Megan, but he's a little too far out of the base. Mouse will initiate. They'll take out Megan. He's still on the front lines. He's tanking the tower. He has to back up. He doesn't want to lose his Guardian Angel, but we will fall down. That item slot has been utilized. He'll go back to base. He has the TP available for him. Bot tower will now be cracked open from EDG. IG, no, they cannot approach, because if they do, someone's falling. Rookie barely managed to get back before his Guardian Angel falls down. EDG keeping up the pressure. Redemption will heal the rest of the lineup. They're looking for the finish. Double Nexus towers first going to be falling. Duke does not have his ultimate. IG are the out of options. They're looking for a return to play. Rookie on the outside. It's a flash. It's an initiate from Mouse once more. It's Kid coming in. Zed drops low. He'll fall down. Fire Lolly as well. Make one to the Nexus. Mouse as well. And that's game 1 to EDG.
In an hour-long slugfest, EDG just scraped by there in the very end. That is a game that's crushing if you're Invictus Gaming. Those are hard to lose.
Especially at the start of a series as well. It's got to hurt the mental of the team. They need to refresh and reset coming into game 2 now. But that was on the precipice of being a win for them so many times over in that game. But EDG pushing it forwards with one final objective, one final Baron, finding a pick, and winning the game.
100% Invictus Gaming's game to lose. They had control for the majority of it, and like you said, they just kind of gave away key pick after key pick, and it just stalled out the tempo. EDG just getting back these inches.
Yeah, it was a game that IG honestly should have won. You can see that on the gold graph. It was over 10,000 in their favor at one stage, but when it hits that stage in the game, when you get to the 50-minute mark and everyone's got their items, it is just the one fight. And look, one team had a Maokai in the end. And the Maokai is able to just stand in front of everybody. The Zed, the Assassins, they just couldn't do the same amount of work.
And you really have to go and praise Mouse as well. If he doesn't get the MVP, I mean, Scout definitely an honorable mention, but I would be shocked if it didn't go to Mouse. He was so key in their comeback.
He was instrumental through the entire game, but so was his opposition, Duke, as well. Like, he was definitely the AP damage that the team needed from IG. Like, literally, I felt like so many players in this game were performing well. Like, I saw very few players, I would say, who underperformed. Maybe you could say Kid getting caught out multiple times.
Kid didn't have the best series. He started on the wrong foot and brought it back decently well. But yeah, once it hit that late game stage, he got caught out twice. Lost his Guardian Angel and then died again to the Syndra ultimate pretty much on cue. I think Kid was a big part of perhaps the undoing of IG's advantage, gave the map tempo back to EDG. But like, that was more a game of decision making than it was anything else.
Sure, more than necessarily individual play, because we saw a lot of team fights in that game, and for the most part, I would say for 98% of it, teams were doing the right things for what they wanted to do at the time, but it was outmaneuvering their opponents, and I think overall that was a good game to watch, honestly. We were questioning the team's macro from what we've seen so far from them, and maybe we still have some of those questions, but it was pretty well done by both teams at certain points in the game.
Yeah, it just needs to be tightened up a little for both instances. You know, Kid not getting caught out. I think he gave away an Elder Dragon as well as a Baron on kind of 2 different occasions there, getting caught out. Likewise, EDG, just slight decision making, you know, playing it a bit more cautious, a bit more conservatively than going for those early, more aggressive plays. But otherwise, in the end, benefit of the doubt will always go to EDG when it comes down to the wire.
Yeah, when it does come down to those 50-50s, you still have to put a lot of faith into EDG, just as a team and how they're able to execute when it comes clutch. They've done it so many times in the past when it matters.
Yeah, and it's so crazy that they've pretty much changed like every single piece of that roster. But the 2014 identity of EDG was called Baby Blue after Baby Samsung Blue because of their ability to 5v5 late game. And some things never change. You could change out all the players, but the core identity still remains.
And they took game 1 against IG as well in like a very heavy game to lose for IG. And the question is now, do IG even come back and bounce back from a mental perspective? Because is this a team who can actually do that? Because obviously you have like mixed languages. This is a team who actually has synergy as a team yet to be able to actually reset from game 1 to game 2.
I mean, you do have to have mental fortitude for a game to go to 59 minutes and to lose that game when you had a lead, right? It is quite taxing on your mental to have to come back and play the rest of the series. But all it really takes is to start fresh, you know, go backstage, have some water, and realize that if you get the victory, you don't feel that same mental taxation. You just come and win the second game. You showed that you already can do it in the first.
And I think what IG have proven, at least in game 1, is that they do have the ability to win a game against EDG. They were so close so many times. And it wasn't just like they threw it all away. Well, they did, but I mean, it wasn't like as bad as we've seen it from other teams necessarily. Scout coming in with the MVP. Again, you were talking about Mouse maybe taking it in this one because he was instrumental to the win. But if you're looking at hype, then Scout was your man.
These sick 1v1s were super fun to watch. I definitely agree that if there's an honorable mention, it is Scout. Multiple 1v1s beating out Rookie in that mid lane is no easy task. But I still think Mouse was more so the pivotal member. But let's hype Scout for a moment.
Yeah, there was a couple of pretty epic 1v1s in this game. That was the best example of it. Scout, when it came to the crunch, and he was actually executing on those fights, did step up. He showed that, you know, when he's against the Zed, he's a Zed main, and he knows how to counteract it and beat it with the Syndra.
And the other thing is, it wasn't just the 1v1 fights. I will also give a shout out to Scout. He was so good at zoning in those team fights. It was pretty much Mouse and Syndra, so the Maokai and the Syndra, that were creating the space for EDG to be successful in those 5v5. So was working very well in tandem with that big tree.
Here's a question. If IG managed to pick up the game, who would you give the MVP to in IG?
Rookie? Duke.
Duke or
Yeah,
Rookie,
it'd be
right?
Duke.
So in the same way that you would probably give an honorable mention to Rookie in the mid lane, I feel like both mid laners had a way into those fights, and constantly Rookie was doing the same thing. He was zoning people away, he was popping the right people, and he was capitalizing on things like the Zhonya's being down.
My mentality is that whenever we get to like a 60-minute game, it's always going to come down to a 5v5, and normally the top laners are probably like the most important people in those fights because they control the most space, especially with the current meta of top lane. When you have Rumble and Maokai, they're always the guys that I'm going to be looking to because they're just playing defense for the team.
Yeah, and Rumble as well with the ultis in that game. I mean, just overall, like, yes, we get to that late game stage and they are super important, but just how they played. Like, Duke, you already said it throughout the game. Like, we're just impressed with the style with which he's able to carry himself as a new member in the team. Looks like he is an experienced part of that team, seamlessly fits in, and the Rumble stands out.
And came very close to picking up that game as well. We're going to take a short break while we set up for game 2 between our match of the week. It's IG versus EDG.